Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Farah, and today is going to be the start of a new reading vlog. Hope you guys are doing well. This is the first vlog I'm making within a few months, so I have to kind of get back into the groove of it, back into the groove of talking about what I'm reading and all of that. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi and tell you guys some of the things I'm reading right now. So right now I have, let's see, 2 books going. I just finished one yesterday, which I'll talk about in like an April wrap up if I make one. But I have 2 books that I'm currently reading. So the first one is a nonfiction, and this one is called King Leopold's Ghost. I'll put a picture of it here. I can't remember off the top of my head who the author is, but this is a nonfiction story about the colonialization by King Leopold II of Belgium into the Congo in Africa, and kind of his story about how he came to want to kind of obtain this piece of land and what he wanted to do with it, and really how he tricked the world into thinking that it was this huge humanitarian effort of spreading knowledge and light into the darkness of Africa, when actually what he really wanted to do was exploit the resources and get every single ounce of money he could out of this area. And it's pretty amazing how the world fell for it and supported him without really knowing what was going on. So I came to find this book because back in November I was participating in Dr. No-vember, which is a reading event hosted by Mark from Book Time with Elvis, and we were reading The Secret Agent by Joseph Conrad. I liked that book so much, and I loved the writing that Conrad did in that book, so they had recommended to try Heart of Darkness, which is another work of his. It's a little shorter. So I started reading that in November. I put it aside for a while because I was in a huge reading slump for the winter. But then I picked it back up again, and I really enjoyed it. And I also, around the same time, came into the Rest is History podcast. Oddly enough, the episodes they were putting out at that time had to do with the horrors of the Congo. So it matched up perfectly with Heart of Darkness. And within that podcast, they were talking about this book, King Leopold's Ghost. So that's what got me interested in it. It was perfect timing. It had to do exactly with the Heart of Darkness, which then they later did a 4th episode strictly about Heart of Darkness. So I really enjoyed that one, and then it made me inspired to read about King Leopold and kind of hear that story in more detail. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes, well, in the next clip. And then for my audiobook, I am listening to A Man Called Ove, which is by Fredrick Bachman, a Swedish author. And yeah, I've just started this one, so I'm not sure what to think about it yet. I know it's a story about a curmudgeon-y old widower who recently lost his wife, who's dealing with grief, and it's a story about loneliness and found family, and it's been on my bookshelf for a while, so I wanted to give it a try because I've heard so many people rave about it. So that's my audiobook. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to read, if there's going to be anything else, or if I'm just going to focus on those 2, but I probably will pick another fiction or nonfiction physical book to read as well, because I do like to have 3 going: a physical, an audio, and an ebook. So I'll check in a few minutes, probably when I go outside for a walk, and I'll have a little update for you. But yeah, that's the update for now. It's nice to be back. So it is the beginning of April, not too far into April yet, and this is what it still looks like here. It does take a while for spring to arrive here, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of green in the grass as you look closer into the little puddles over here. And hopefully we'll start to get some buds on the trees. That's always the best part, when you start to see green on the trees, because it's just looked like this for months and months and months. But it's not too bad today. It's getting a little bit warmer. We keep going back to chilliness, and then it'll get warm for a day. So yeah, that's kind of how April tends to go for us. But yeah, so with the books that I'm currently reading right now, I'm still reading King Leopold's Ghost. This is just absolutely fascinating. It's so well written. It's a very, for somebody that maybe doesn't read a ton of history like myself, but I enjoy it, I feel like this is a perfect writing style for me to keep myself engaged in the topic that they're discussing. It's just really well done. So I'm really enjoying that. Just doing about a chapter a day, so it'll take me a while to get through it. I also have another one that I'm hoping to do a buddy read with Mark from Book Time with Elvis. This one's called Mozart, Starling, and it's a nonfiction about it's a mix of Mozart and the story behind his beloved Starling that he adopted and kept as a pet. Mozart's such an interesting figure, of course, in classical music, and he was a quirky guy, and so I really love birds, and the topic was really interesting to me. The book itself popped up in like a search when I was looking for something else, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I knew that Mark's a huge Mozart fan, so I asked him if he'd be interested in reading it, and he's like, yeah, sure. So I'm not sure when we're going to start that, hopefully at some point. And then I'm also listening to A Man Called Ove. I think that's how you say his name. And this is written by Fredrick Bachman, who's a Swedish author. It's translated into English. And this is just a story, kind of found family, the story of a curmudgeon older gentleman who recently lost his wife, and he's coping with the grief and loss and loneliness and what happens when a new family moves next door. And I do really, really love stories like these that tug at the heartstrings, where the main characters are a bit older and they've just lived a bit more life than I have. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So there's a quick update for you. And I'm heading back inside to finish my taxes. So that should be a hoot. Okay, guys, I'll see you soon. Hello. Well, I'm out on a beautiful walk after work. It's so still and peaceful, and with a little bit of a chill in the air, and the birds are chirping. I can hear red-winged blackbirds. And I hear in the woods for the first time a ruffed grouse. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that before, but it's a bird that lives in the woods, and every spring it makes this really unique noise where it's like a quick thumping sound where they beat their wings together really fast. It creates kind of a vacuum and this really cool sound. You can almost feel it in your chest. And I keep hearing it right now, but it won't pick up on the camera. I've tried, but it's really cool. I love hearing that. I know they do that to attract mates and, defend their territory and everything, but yeah, I just wanted to share that. So I wanted to just give you a really quick reading update. This is kind of a harsh light to film in, so hope you bear with me. But right now it's April 9th, and I've gotten a little bit further through A Man Called Ove, my audiobook, and it's going really well. Yeah, I know this book was really hyped up. I know it's a beloved book for many people. A lot of people that I've seen on Goodreads or I've heard talk about it have really, really loved this book. So I knew it was going to be pretty good going into it. And I have to say, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's good so far. So again, just to quickly let you know what it's about, we're following this Swedish man. He's an older guy. I think he's about 59. And he lives in Sweden. So the book is translated into English. And really, just right off the bat, I can tell you that the translation is great. But it does have more of a feel as though someone British translated it. And it's interesting because the audiobook is actually read by an American audiobook narrator. So it's funny because there are certain quirky things that he'll say that, he'll say something like that bloody imbecile, or he put on his trousers, or he was keen to do something. And, we don't really say those things that much here in the US. I mean, there are people that say that, but it's not very common. So it's funny to hear those phrases said in an American accent when I feel like it would fit more with a British narrator. But, that's just me. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to audiobooks and narrators and accents and voices. So we can let it slide because otherwise the narration's great. So I'm finding right away, within the first few chapters, I already got a little teary-eyed. But essentially, it just tells the story of this guy, this man, this older man. He lives alone. It's a dual timeline, so every other chapter will be him in the present moment and then him back in the past, talking about his childhood and when he met his wife and their life together and everything. So each chapter goes back and forth. And at first I didn't realize that, and I noticed that the narration style with the present time chapters is a present tense type of storytelling, which is not usually my favorite. I don't really like that present tense type of writing, but it definitely, I understand why they do it, and most authors that have dual timelines in books use this, so it makes sense. So once I got that squared away, I'm surprised to see, and I didn't know this going into the book, is that this is, I guess, kind of a trigger warning for some people, as it might affect whether or not you would want to read this, but it does have him making multiple attempts to end his life very early on, and I wasn't expecting that. And it really makes me sad to read about things like that with the older, especially with anyone, but when it comes to the older generation, it just makes me sad. That's, I guess, plain and simply how I can put it. So I wasn't expecting that. And it's told, though, very nonchalantly and kind of like this is how it is. So it's not this drawn out dramatic thing at all, but it is happening. So if you're really sensitive to that and to that topic, just know that going into the book. But I do like how we're slowly seeing this poor guy who's mourning the loss of his wife he's been married to for many years. He's the type of person that didn't open up his heart to very many people. And he I'm getting the sense that he threw all his eggs into one basket, his wife, who he loved absolutely so dearly. And it's very sweet when you read about the things that he did for her and the love that they shared and the connection that they had. But, so you see that become unraveled when she passes away, and he's kind of left incredibly lonely and incredibly sad. So that's kind of his motivation for not wanting to live anymore. But as we see him, meet these new neighbors that pop in, and you see him be slowly charmed by this little 3-year-old girl who just looks at him with stars in her eyes, and we see this cat that he rescues, loving him unconditionally. So I really like seeing his tough exterior shell start to be, chiseled away a bit by these outside people. That, it's that thing where you can do such a simple little act of kindness for somebody, you have no idea how much it makes their day. It can just be so impactful, these little things and these little moments. And so I can see why a lot of people like this book. My only thing is that recently, within the past few years, I read a very similar book before reading this. And I think it's newer than Ove, so I think it was inspired, that kind of thing. Like if I read Ove first, I might have liked that one better. But the book I'm talking about is called All the Lonely People by Mike Gale. And this is a very similar story, but their main character is an 80-year-old guy named Hubert, who's Jamaican, who lives in Britain, and he lost his wife. And it's a dual timeline, same situation, and it's also like a found family with neighbors and things like that. And that book was amazing. I love that book so much. I think it was my favorite book of the year at that point. And so I think it's kind of affecting how I feel about Ove, because I'm comparing it a bit to this other book. But anyway, so I'm really enjoying it. I like how Fredrick Bachman is unfolding the story. He's not giving you everything right away. Each time we go back into the past, we find something else out that maybe we weren't expecting. So the book's going really well. I'm enjoying it. I'm really glad I finally picked it up off my shelf. I have 2 more Bachman books that I had thrifted that I would like to get to as well. One is called Anxious People, and the other one is the first book in the Beartown series. So I already can tell I really like this author. I like his writing, and it's just nice to find a new author that you've heard about but have never read anything. So that's my update for A Man Called Ove. And then I haven't read much of King Leopold's Ghost yet. I'm still hoping to commit to a chapter a day, so I need to get on top of that. But that's great. I mean, it's really interesting. It's easy to pick up and put back down as well. And then I think tonight I'm also going to start Mozart Starling, which is my physical book that I wanted to read. I'm doing a buddy read with Mark at Book Time with Elvis, so hopefully I can keep up with him. I think he's going easy on me and not, he's just maybe going to read a chapter or two a day, so hopefully we can, I can keep up with him with that. So that's my update. It's beautiful out. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll pop back in again once I have read a little bit more and see where we are. So it's finally getting warmer out here, and we have this really nice porch which fortunately gets the sun in the morning, so it's so warm if you just find a sunny patch, even if it's a little bit chillier weather-wise. But I'm outside this morning, still working on Mozart Starling, which I started this week, and I'm about halfway through. It's not that long of a book, which is nice, and I'm really enjoying this so much. So this book is nonfiction, and it tells the story of Mozart and his pet Starling that he owned for a few years during the busiest and most productive time in his writing and composing career. And it mirrors the real-life ownership of a pet Starling that the author decides to adopt. It's not a very good sentence how I said that, but I hope you got the idea of what I'm trying to say. So essentially, the author found out about Mozart's Starling, and she decided to write a book about it. But in doing so, she wanted to adopt her own pet Starling to kind of see what it was like, to see what it must have been like for him to own this particular type of bird, who are known for their incredible mimicry skills. So the book is it switches back and forth between her story of adopting a baby Starling from its nest, just maybe a week old, if that, very young, and raising it inside her home. And then she also tells the story of what she's uncovered with Mozart's experience and what he wrote in his journals or letters about what it was like for him owning his pet Starling. So it's really fun. It's a very interesting topic, and I love birds in general, but I really love learning about one specific bird at a time. We have a lot of Starlings here where I live. I'm going to show you. Up in the trees there's a couple. They're everywhere. If you live in the United States, in the continental United States at least, they're everywhere. I'm going to pause the video real quickly because there's some traffic coming. Tractor traffic. So the European Starling is a bird that was introduced to the United States back in the late 1800s as a passion project for somebody who was trying to embody something that Shakespeare had written about. The results were quite astounding because starlings, which originated in Europe, quickly took over the United States. They can be found in pretty much every single state in the continental 48, and they absolutely thrive here. And they've been, I guess they are considered a highly invasive species, nuisance species. Before starting this book, I wasn't really aware of that. I mean, I've always seen them around, and I haven't thought much ill will towards them at all. I think they're absolutely beautiful. They're beautiful birds, but apparently within the wildlife and conservation community, they are a huge nuisance, and there aren't many laws here in the US there aren't any laws that protect against people doing whatever they want and disposing of them in whatever way they want, which is horrible. But it's interesting because I'm doing this as a buddy read with Mark from Book Time with Elvis, who lives in Europe. And I think that the numbers are far less prevalent there. I don't think people see them as often as we do here, which is, kind of ironic. But so far, it's just been a really charming story of her raising her chick and the bond that they have and how affectionate these birds are and how much they love being around their owners. And she'll sit and perch on her owner's shoulders. They'll listen to music. She'll actually sit on the violin when the author is playing it. She'll be with her in her office when she's writing. And it's just a very charming little bird. It's just, it makes you kind of want to have one as a pet. And then we flip over to Mozart. And so the story behind the Mozart thing was apparently he was walking along and he heard somebody whistling the tune of a new song he had just written, or a new concerto, which hadn't been played publicly yet. So we ran inside this store and realized it was one of these starlings in the store that was humming this tune, singing this tune. So he adopted the bird, and there's kind of a mystery surrounding that. How would this bird have ever heard this particular song? I don't think it's ever really going to be truly uncovered, but yeah, so I'm really loving the writing a lot. Like I said, I love learning about this particular bird, and I've been, listening to some Mozart along the way. As the author mentions a particular song or concerto, I'll go ahead and listen to it on Spotify just to, immerse myself even more in the story. So overall, really, really loving this book. It's probably one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. And if you like birds, I really, really recommend you pick this up. Like I said, it's not that long, and it's really interesting. I'm really enjoying it so far. Yeah, so I'm going to sit here for a little while on the porch before work and try to read another chapter or two to start the day. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to share the beautiful winter weather we're having this morning. There's the tulips trying to fight for their lives. But anyway, happy spring. Hope it's warmer where you guys are. All right, so I'm sitting in the parking lot at my daughter's school, waiting to pick her up from a track meet, and I just wanted to mention in this vlog that I did read and finish the 3rd volume of Heartstopper, and oh my goodness, these books are so cute. They're so good. I really enjoy reading them. This one was just as good as the other ones I've read. I think I've given them all 5 stars. I love these. I have the other 2 or 3. I can't remember if there's 6 total. I have all of them, I believe. So I'm probably going to pick the next one up right away and just keep going with it. But this one focused more on these two getting to know each other a little bit more. And they talk a bit about eating disorders and kind of dealing with that. But it's all very hopeful. And I think what I love about these books so much is seeing these teenage boys being so incredibly kind to each other and supportive and loving, and all the friends around them are just, it's almost like this perfect world that you want for your own child to grow up in, with the amount of maturity that these kids have and emotional maturity. It's so nice to read. But it was cute. So I just wanted to mention this, the Heartstopper series. Absolutely love it. And this book was great. Okay, guys, so it's the end of April. I think I'm going to wrap up this vlog and just let you know about 2 of the books that I just recently finished this past week. So I finished A Man Called Ove a little while ago. I just hadn't had time to vlog about it yet, but I ended up really enjoying the book. It was a little bit different from what I thought it was going to be, but I thought the writing was great. The characters were great, very lovable people. You know, you kind of fall in love with this poor guy, and as you see him navigating the grief of losing his wife, it was actually more heartbreaking than I thought it was going to be. And the ending, of course, was beautiful. So I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I would give it a full 5-star, maybe a 4-star. I didn't get as emotionally invested as I thought I would have, and maybe I would have if I hadn't already read the other book I was telling you guys about, All the Lonely People, which that book I just absolutely loved, and I felt that story was very similar, but to me I just got into the characters a bit more, and maybe it's because I listened to the audio, which was phenomenal. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I think most people would like this book, but I do have to say there was a heavy focus on suicide and many attempts that this man had to take his own life, and I wasn't expecting that. It was very sad. I didn't like reading about that, to be honest. So that's the only thing. And then the other book I finished, let me grab it. This makes the editing a little easier. Is Mozart Starling. So this was a pretty quick read for me, actually. It was so interesting. This one I did give a 5-star. I found the writing to be beautiful. I'm definitely going to be reading more by this author. She's a naturalist and an eco-philosopher, and I loved how she told the story. You know, it was very heavily focused on her experience of raising a pet starling that she had rescued. And then she would intersperse bits and pieces of what she could find out or uncover from the history of Mozart and his experience of owning a starling, which there wasn't a ton of information about. So some of it could have been a little speculative. You know, even I think that she named the bird in the novel because there wasn't any record of what the bird's actual name was. So it was very interesting to learn more about the character of Mozart. It was a really fun buddy reading experience, and I loved the book. I really loved it. There were some passages in here that were so beautiful. I see the eco-philosopher part came out of her experience or her career, and I just found some of the things she touched upon just to be so beautiful. Really, really nice. So I very much enjoyed that book. I highly recommend it if you love birds or if you know anyone that likes birds. And if you're here in the US, where we have European starlings in abundance, I mean, they were everywhere outside when I was reading. They're nesting in a tree right in front of my porch, and I could see them every morning, and you can hear them. And just knowing about their incredible skills in mimicking other birds and being able to mimic songs and even human voices. If you Google European starling and Google like R2-D2, it's amazing. I mean, they're just as good at it as the other birds you would typically think of, like parrots. It was so fascinating to be reading about this amazing little bird who's been portrayed as such a nuisance here. But they're highly intelligent. They're really beautiful animals, and it just made me appreciate them more. So yeah, really loved Mozart Starling. I highly recommend it. It was one of my favorite books of the year for sure. So going forward, I'm going to start a new vlog in a couple days of what I'm currently going to be reading. I can tell you right now, just real quickly, I'm hoping to finish up Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I've read 2 more stories today, and I have 4 more to go, so that's a huge goal. I'm also listening to the second book in the Outlander series called Dragonfly and Amber. This is a reread for me. I've never listened to the audio. I started it a while ago, but I paused it, but now I'm coming back to it. And I'm just really enjoying it, really, really enjoying it. I already know what happens, so it's an easy audiobook for me to listen to while I'm doing the dishes or folding laundry or whatever. So that I'm doing. I want to try to read the whole Outlander series. I've only made it through book 4. But I would like to, get caught up with that. And then I picked up a book called Let the Great World Spin by Colum McCann, I think. You guys know I'm bad with remembering names, but this one is beautiful so far. Gorgeous writing. I won't get into too much of the plot yet. I'll save that for the next vlog. And then for my nonfiction, I'm still reading King Leopold's Ghost, which is really good. Every time I pick it up, I really enjoy it. It's just, I don't read large chunks at a time. So those are the main ones. that I'm working on. I also am going to pick up the 4th Heartstopper book. That's a quick, easy, comfy read, so I'm sure I'll get to that one. And that's it for now. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone is doing well and you're having a nice week. And thank you for everyone who has welcomed me back to BookTube and left me really wonderful, nice comments. I really appreciate it. And that's what makes this hobby so much fun, is just to chat with you guys. So thanks again. I'll talk to you guys soon and have a great rest of your day. Take care.